You can watch Man City versus Liverpool on Now TV for just €10. So what's stopping you? Going shopping again? You're already on first name basis with the sales assistant. A family party? Your Aunt Mary has seen you 4 times this week already. This is a cracking fixture. Don't let anything get in your way. To treat yourself to a Now TV Sky Sports Day Pass and watch the games that matter to you for just €10, search Now TV Football today. Content streamed by internet. Full terms at nowtv.com.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Reiki Radio. I am your host, Yolanda. And first of all, I want to welcome you all to this new energy, this new year. Happy New Year. Happy 2019. Now, you may be able to tell I am a bit congested. I just got back from Washington, D.C. I was there for 2 weeks with my family, and I ended up extremely sick. And so I even had to prolong my trip, change my plane ticket because I was too sick to fly. But I am feeling so much better now. I am back home and just still working through some of this congestion. So please forgive me, but I wanted to make sure to come and do an episode today. One, because it's the new year, but, just excited for all of us to continue to grow and share and play and exchange and all of the wonderful things that we have done over these years. Just keep it going. So that kind of leads into what I wanted to talk to you about today, because since it's New Year, there is so much talk about goals and goal setting. And I mean, just today alone, looking at my Facebook and Instagram, I saw so many posts about goals and lists of what we're going to do and focus on and on and on and on. And, it's the same thing we do every year. And it's all great. Listen, I'm excited for this new energy too. And just like I spoke to you about on the last episode where I was just doing a little reflection of 2018, I personally choose what I am focusing on for each year. So I don't necessarily choose a resolution or these very hardline goals as much as, a particular focus for myself. But all of that aside, it can be overwhelming when we put that pressure on ourselves of all of a sudden now we have to perform as if we were sleeping the whole 12 months that just went by. Or all of a sudden now we've got to get things done as if we weren't doing anything at all in these last 12 months that went by. So it's just really, really interesting. The points of view, our perspective, what comes up for us around this New Year energy. And again, it can be exciting. And yes, it's like that imaginary restart button. But the truth is, we all know it's a continuation of the life we've been living, right? And yeah, it's great to be inspired to feel refreshed and to feel this sense of renewal or, just ready to take on some new challenges or ideas or projects or creations, to set those, lists out for ourselves of how we're going to become or be better in this new year, or how we're finally going to do those things that we've been talking about for so long. All so well intended and great. And, a lot of us, some of us, do check off some of those things. But are you putting pressure on yourself to get it done like right now? And are you putting this expectation on yourself of like, these are my goals, I have to stick to them like so rigidly that it's making you feel crazy inside? Okay, we're going to reel it on back. And in fact, I'm starting to go all the way down the rabbit hole on this. So let me just collect my own thoughts, take a breath, so that we can go on more of a clear journey about where we are right now today on January 1st, 2019. So take a breath with me. Can we do that? Take a breath. Let our shoulders fall. Open up that heart space. Bring your shoulders back. Okay, present and here. let's get ready for the show. Okay, I am back, and hopefully now I can keep my thoughts a little more focused. What I really wanted to talk to you about today was how this current energy, even though it's exciting and feels brand new and on and on and on, it's really kind of transitional, if anything else, right? So one of the things that comes up with this first is not to put too much pressure on yourself. Just start there, okay? Even if you have hard goals, even if you have these very specific things that you're like, this year I'm going to do this no matter what. Okay, fine. But ask yourself where you can also invite in and allow some ease and grace to come in to support you in whatever it is that you want to accomplish, that it doesn't have to be just so rigid and hard. Now, funny enough, as I'm saying that, it reminds me of the energy that we're in right now, which is Capricorn energy. We start off the new year in the sign of Capricorn. The sun is currently in Capricorn. And that energy is kind of like the taskmaster. You know, Capricorn energy is where we think about how we are showing up, how we are contributing to the world, our career, our path, our goals. Get it done, you know, have a plan, execute wisely, do things well, achieve, achieve, achieve. So it makes sense when you think about it from that lens of like why there's even, you know, an air of that type of responsibility and diligence and get it done at the start of the new year, instead of just like a lightheartedness about the goals, you know? So once we actually, though, take a step back and consider how we are contributing to our goals energetically, we can create shifts for ourselves. So then these resolutions, your points of focus, your goals, your laundry list of things you want to do, try, exercise, practice, whatever it may be, it can then genuinely feel a little more fun and light and easy and breezy, you know, like, okay, yeah, this is what I want to do, but there is no absolute hard deadline of how or when I have to complete it. I know this is what I want to accomplish. Let me just breathe into step one of my process. Where do I start? Just for today. You know, it reminds me of the Reiki principles. Just for today. All right. What can I focus on and accomplish just today? And tomorrow there may be another aspect or component that you can contribute to or give energy or focus to. And with that too, I mean, no matter what it is that you are inspired to experience in 2018, remember there's also change and things that come up that are unexpected, that we weren't planning on, that we didn't foresee, that sometimes cause shifts and alter our plans or our ideas or our thoughts, even our wants. Have you ever done that where like you had this goal, this idea, this thing you wanted to do, and then time goes on and you're like, meh, really not that excited about it? Even though at one point you were all in excited about it, we change. Things change. Plans change. And sometimes we start to pour into something, a thought or an idea, and once we get into it, it's not what we expected. And even sometimes that is like, meh, all right, well, not what I expected, so carry on. But the main thing, again, I guess I'm just so excited to be here today and try to stay focused, is that all of this right now, it's really transitional energy. So it's not like, you know, we just wiped the slate clean and we completely forgot about what our life was up until today, it's a continuation. We're transitioning into these new ideas, these new goals. We're still working on things that we may have started last year or years before. We are constantly evolving through life, through our personal evolution, through our journeys of spirituality, through our careers, through your parenting, through your relationships. We're constantly changing, making adjustments, wanting to do or see or try things in new ways. So you don't have to put so much pressure on yourself just because it is New Year that now, yes, I've got to get it right. But you can absolutely consider again the energy that you are pouring into whatever you may be considering for yourself. Is it light? Is it joyful? Do you have room for playfulness in there? Are you allowing room for the unexpected? Are you willing to kind of roll with the punches, as we say, and know that you can't cling to or control things so tightly, because that's part of that energy that will stress you out, quite frankly, right? So this new year, it's really just a continuation, but it's exciting because it does inspire us to try new things, to redirect our focus, to, just do things better. And that doesn't always have to be so elaborate and grand. It could just be, I want to be a little bit better than I was yesterday, like I want to work on my attitude a little bit more than I did before. I want to stop eating less junk food than I did before. Maybe not entirely, just less than I did before. I really wasn't expecting this conversation to go this way, but it seems like what's coming through so much is just this air of remembering to have ease and grace as we transition into this new year. So that aside, another thing I was thinking about, I was really excited to come and, podcast and share with you, because last year was so different for me podcast-wise. As many of you know, I did more interviews last year, but I also did a lot of podcasting, including videos. So you could watch some of those interviews and some of my podcast on YouTube. And that was very different for me. And that combined in with some of the collaborations I did last year, there was just a lot of change and doing things differently and kind of like deconstructing my process and how I had been doing things, and to play and tinker with it all differently, which just really kind of reminds me of what I'm talking about in this new year energy, like transitioning. It's not always that things just completely change in our lives as much as they just, we just make some changes. We make some adjustments. So that is what happened to me last year. And it makes me think of how 2018 was a universal year 11, which also is the energy of 2. And I was thinking about how in that 2 year, it was like looking at things, taking things apart. If something is one and solid, deconstructing to look at the polarity and just deciding, like, how can I understand this aspect of whatever it is differently? Whether that was my relationship, my career, friendships, again, collaborations, all of these things. There was a lot of examination and playing with things differently last year, seeing things differently last year. And even in that, of course, having a lot of self-reflection of like my role and how I am contributing to all of these different aspects of my life that weren't necessarily new, just were changing in some ways. And so now as I move into this year, my focus is to really kind of continue to build on all that I started to recognize or learn or change last year. So again, it's just transitional. It's not like some big, I'm not like wiping the slate clean and, starting from scratch, as much as I'm thinking about what I have learned and how I can take what I've learned and how I've grown and continue to build from that. And then from that, I can create in new ways, do in new ways, learn in new ways, be in new ways, on and on and on, which also reminds me of this 3 energy, which is the energy of 2019. So I'm not going to go too much into that because I did talk about the energy of the year in the last podcast, but I do want to bring it back to this whole Capricorn energy that we're in right now, okay? Because it is very much about our focus, our goals. So it's interesting that this is the time that we mark as the new year. Some of us, because not everyone does. Like the Chinese New Year, for example, this year isn't going to be until February. Some people consider New Year the time of spring at the start of Aries. So, people celebrate the new year, these times of new beginnings, and different dates. But for some of us, this starts in this energy of Capricorn and focus, goals. So, one question you can ask yourself today or consider throughout this week is, how do you want to contribute? How do you want to use or direct your life force energy now? Not just throughout the entire year, but just, again, bring it back to the Reiki principle, just for today. How do I want to contribute? How do I want to use or direct my life force energy? What if that was your question to yourself each morning, just for a week? How do you think that would help support you and whatever your goals or resolutions or points of focus may be? Just focusing on it all one day at a time. Okay, just write that down for yourself. And if you play with it, let me know. Like, I would love to hear and know what comes up for you each day. And after about a week or so, if you notice how just having that consideration each morning has supported you in whatever your goals or intentions may be. Okay, so the question again is, how do I want to contribute? How do I want to use or direct my life force energy today? Now, I know a lot of us, we have routines, like daily routines, things that are on our schedules that we have to do each day, right? Like maybe it's you have a particular set hours for work. Like maybe you work Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. And you have children that you have to help them with their homework or take them to practice and do all of these other things. And so a lot of times when we have very specific schedules, some of us will have a tendency to just disregard these types of questions because we think like, oh, I don't have time to think about how I want to contribute or use my life force energy. Well, even in your routine, you are choosing how to use and direct your life force energy. So don't let a set schedule deter you from playing with this and seeing what actually comes through for you. So, for example, let's say you are someone that has a very regimented schedule, 9 to 5, children, all of these things you have to do. If you consider in the morning, how do I want to contribute today? How do I want to use and direct my life force energy? You may have some insight or inspiration of how you want to show up for work. Which projects or who you want to connect with once you get into the office to help your day run more smoothly. Who you may want to connect with to gain some clarity about something that needs to be resolved. Asking yourself that question, you may consider how you could find some time to just sit and have a 5-minute conversation with your kid, whereas typically you may have just gone on autopilot with what you do every single day. You never know what will actually come through to support you unless you give yourself that time and allow the possibility of your own inspiration and insight to come through. So just that simple question. How do I want to contribute? How do I want to use and direct my life force energy now? And if you find yourself throughout the day sitting at your desk, sometimes we just zone out. You might be in traffic. You might be sitting on the couch. Who knows? You just find those moments of life where you kind of just zone out. Now, culturally, it's common that a lot of us just grab our phones, go on social media, look and scroll and, kind of waste that time that way because we don't know what else to do in that space of just not having directed life force energy. We're not really pouring into anything in particular, so we just look for something to fill the void, right? Well, what if instead of grabbing the phone and going on social media, instead of scrolling, you take that moment, that minute, that 5-minute window you have and ask yourself that question. How do I want to contribute? How do I want to use and direct my life force energy? Okay, so I am going to play with that this week, and I hope that you will too. And I would love to hear what comes through for you. If you have any interesting, again, insights, or if you notice that it creates some change in whatever your routine is or your behavior or even just your points of view. If it helps you to discover maybe something that you've been holding in your field that you just haven't been acknowledging. Let's see what comes up. And you can share with me on my Facebook page. Go to Facebook and look for, my mind just went blank. I'm so sorry. You could go to my website. That's probably the easiest thing. Go to yuchi.com. From there, you can see how to find me on Facebook, Instagram, everything. Or even go to the Seeker Circle because we have some real-time conversations in there. So share. That is one thing I would like to see more of this year. More of you sharing. What did you learn from the podcast? Was there anything in the show that spoke to you? Was there anything that you wanted to share with me or that you think would help other people? Share. That's what I want this year. So, okay. So we're in this Capricorn energy. Now we're considering how we're contributing. And back to this universal year of 3, right? 2019 equals 3, which is all about creation. So how do we then start to be more mindful about our creation energy, how we are creating, again, day to day, not putting this one big blanket pressure on ourselves of creating one thing in particular, but what if you just settle into how am I creating now? How am I creating today? How am I creating any moment? So there are 3 components that you can consider in your own process of creation at any given time. Number 1, your mind. What are you focused on? Whatever you are giving mental focus and attention to, that's going to be the seed of what it is that you are creating. Now, if you're I'm focused on money, but I'm not creating more of it, well, what is your mind or your self-talk about it? Is it fear-based? Is it stressed out? Is it you saying, I never have, I don't have, I'm broke, I'm this, I'm that? What are the stories that are generating in your mind? So it's not just the thing itself, but the type of thoughts, the type of inner dialogue, the type of outer dialogue even that you have around whatever your point of focus may be. So number 1, again, check your mind, check your point of focus. That's going to tell you a lot about what you are creating or not. Number 2, check your energy. Your energy around whatever your point of focus may be. Say you're someone that wants to be a Reiki practitioner and you want to start to expand your business this year. But your energy around it, you're kind of afraid. And even when you think about it, maybe like you kind of slump over, you get anxious, you get nervous, you think of all the things that can go wrong, like that mind stuff again. But notice the energy around it. How does it feel in your body when you think about it? And whatever that energy is that you're generating around it, how is that impacting the action that you take or not? Your energy is going to influence your action or inaction. So on the other hand, if you are thinking of starting a practice and you're excited and you're like, oh, your energy is high and flowing and you are just, beaming about the idea, you're probably going to be more open to getting out there, asking questions, figure out how to set this up, looking for places. You're probably like knee deep in research and out there and talking to people and all of these things. That energy is pouring into the action of you building a foundation, right? So number 1, your mind, your focus. Number 2, your energy, which is influencing your action or your inaction. And then number 3, the result and the creation. So in your creation process, as you start to become consciously aware of how your mind, your thoughts are contributing, how your energy and your action is contributing, you start to notice the results. Some results will be great. Sometimes the results you're like, again, not what I was expecting, not what I wanted. But it's okay. It doesn't mean that you throw in the towel. It doesn't mean that you scrap the whole thing. It doesn't mean, it's crap and it doesn't work. That's an opportunity to learn. It's often when we really need to persevere. It's often when we need to take a step back and consider how we can do things differently. Maybe we need support. Maybe we need to do more research. What can be done or altered to help support a better result? Because what you are creating at any given time is never in stone. And that's something really important to keep in mind as we're in this a year of creative energy, a year of creation. Right now, while you are considering your goals and intentions, what you create does not have to be in stone. So you don't have to be fearful of perfection and trying to get things absolutely right and not making mistakes and things not going wrong. Again, that ease and grace, freedom, let yourself breathe. If you pour your mind, your heart, your energy into something and the result is not what you were expecting, what could you learn from it? Did it actually turn out better than you thought it would have? And even if things look different than you anticipated or go slower than you anticipated, can you acknowledge that you are still in the process of creating? This reminds me to tell you, I receive emails from practitioners all the time and, people who listen to the show and a lot of people who want to either start a podcast or their Reiki businesses and these things. And they'll tell me that, maybe they were inspired by a particular episode and so they tried for like a couple weeks and it didn't pan out or things aren't going, they're not getting as many clients as quickly as they wanted. And I will tell you from my own experience, my creation of the podcast and being a Reiki teacher and practitioner and all the things that I'm doing, it's not in stone and it never has been. This whole journey for me, I have gone from having no clients to having too many clients to back to like feeling like not enough clients to again it's constantly changing. We go through cycles, we go through phases, we go through evolution. We go through shifts and changes. Some things take time to nurture and grow. And sometimes when we're trying to nurture and grow something outside of ourselves, such as our practice, such as our business, such as our relationships, what we often find is that what we really need to nurture is us. We're the block. It's not that your business is unsuccessful or your relationship, you just are crap at it. Any type of, disruption, disturbance, any type of block or something that seems like it's in your way or it's just not working out, it doesn't necessarily mean it's something you need to push so hard against externally or you need to just drop and walk away from. Sometimes it's such a beautiful opportunity to look at you. Again, go back to these 3 steps of creation. What's going on in your mind around this? What is your energy around this? And what is the result, and how can you continue to work through it to create a better result? What is your focus, and which actions can support your results? Whether it's working on yourself or doing something more external. So, yeah, I think I'm rambling now. This went way left from what I thought I was going to talk to you about today, but whatever. I'm very excited to share and be back for this year. I'm excited to see what we all do talk about and learn in this year. And at the top of the show, I mentioned that I had a focus last year, and my focus last year was community. And that ended up manifesting itself through, the Seeker Circle and some collaborations and, doing interviews on the podcast in various ways. And again, this year, I'm just really focusing on building from what I learned through community. So even if you don't necessarily have a goal or an intention or that's not your thing, you may just want to even just consider, how can you build from what you learned last year? How can you continue to grow and create and evolve from what you learned last year? Sometimes it's just that simple. It's transitional. So I guess I did bring it back around to the beginning. Transitional energy, that's what I wanted to talk to you about. So one thing I want to tell you before we go is just remember, no matter what it is you're building into, creating, learning, growing through, it's all a process. It's all a process, and when we're building anything, sometimes we'll want to remove some of the bricks and restack, and sometimes things are off balance and we need to, again, deconstruct to rebalance. It's just life. It's just the way. It's part of the process, and it's all good. But remind yourself to allow room for shifting to happen, to allow room for acknowledging what you're learning through the process of it all, to acknowledge your choice through the process of it all. And remember your resilience. No matter where you are now, no matter where you'll be in 30 days, look at all you have already made it through in your life. You are resilient. You are amazing. You are beautiful. And this year is yours. You can make it what you like. So be open to possibility and new opportunity. Acknowledge your choice as always. And for those of you who have already signed up for Creating with the Moon and Stars, which is one of my free offerings that has been updated for 2019, and my new newsletter will go out this week with a video to go along with the January energy update. And also want to remind you as well that 22 Days of Transformation is still a free offer. So if you sign up for my newsletter, go to my website, which is yuchi.com. That's YEWCHI.com. Sign up for the newsletter. You'll get a coupon code, and you can download both of those gifts for free. 22 Days of Transformation and Creating with the Moon and Stars. So that is it for today. Happy New Year. I will see you next week. I love you all so much. And remember to always journey in love.